Welcome back to blackgirlcouch Reviews. I'm your host, Christina. We are back for another new season of Southland, Season 4, Episode 1, entitled Wednesday, written by Jonathan Lisco, directed by Christopher Chulak. I gave this episode a 9.4 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I like the differing dynamics. We see John back to form, which is something we have been missing, and then when you see John in full form, you get that with what is missing in a lot of other officers is that quintessential thing that Ben was taught from John about what it means to be a good officer. And with Ben now going to the South Side, is he going to be able to maintain that purist like mentality? Ben is not the only one with a new partner either. John has a new partner in Officer Jessica Tang, played by Lucy Liu. We had a guest appearance of Officer Danny Ferguson, played by Lou Diamond Phillips. And then Lydia, who we all suspected, has a new partner, and that is in the form of Dorian, who is Dorian Missick. He's Simone Missick's husband. So where do we want to start? Well, we shall by saying wherever you're listening to this podcast, Apple, Stitcher, Podbean, anywhere else where good podcasts can be found. Do me a favor, go down to the rating section, drop some stars, leave a review. My social media will be there as well. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to send feedback for Southland or any other show that I do, blackgirlcouch@gmail.com. I think we are going to start with the Lydia storyline because it was so sad, but it was very much, what do you do when someone is giving you all the help in the world and you can't help yourself?
Amen to that shit.
I know all too well what it means to care about someone who's an addict that refuses to give up the addiction and where that could ultimately lead. And it's a rather tragic tale, but it's even more tragic for those that are deeply trying to help even against their better judgment. And you see that despite Lydia's practicality, she is a bit of a bleeding heart. We meet Danelle at the beginning of the episode when she comes pounding on her door, and she says, I got your address from our pastor. She said, our pastor from our church? The only time I saw you there is when you was wrapped in a blanket eating soup. I will say, for all that she was helping her, she did not break the number one rule, which is, can I come in?
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, no, to the no, no. Hell to the no, no, to the no, 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 no. Hell to the no, no, to the no, no, no.
I'm sorry, the minute you let them in your house, you are going to be much lighter of your materials. They're going to find their way, some way, to your wallet, and they're going to get your money. That is a horrible thing to say, but when they show up looking as if they are high or have recently been so, it is a mistake, unfortunately, to let your guard all the way down. And while she will not let her in her house, she tells her to wait because she will, in fact, assist her. It turns out she was a former CI of hers. She snitched and got relocated to Lancaster, but unfortunately, she got into trouble there and needs to be relocated. And there's a hit out due to the fact that they are fully aware of the other gang that she was the one that snitched. So things are not looking great for her, but she is very much more concerned about her next fix than she is about saving her life, which is awful, really, because there's no self-awareness, there's no self-preservation, so to speak. Lydia picks up her new partner by the name of Dorian. He has a wife, and she always bakes when she is upset. He says, what's up with you women? He talks about going back to Afghanistan, so we know he served. She is much more interested in, although she's listening, in what's going on in her personal life by bringing up the situation she's in with Danelle. She says that maybe she could stay at your place, in your basement. And his face,
excuse me, bitch?
She was like, I was just fucking with you. I know you ain't Russell. So he says when she brings up the fact that he dragged her, or she dragged him into the situation, he says, I go where you go, which is very much where Lydia is most comfortable, is when she is in full lead. And that's just part of her personality. She needs someone who is going to be the submissive against her dominant. She must drive the car. She's back in that seat. And he talks about the fact that she must have come from a rough past partnership, and she says you have no idea. So clearly they didn't get over the fact that she slept with her son. And I made my feelings known last podcast about that situation. She gets a call regarding, she takes her to a motel. Talks about Lydia, that they used to go to high school together, something Lydia doesn't bring up. She's like, we barely know each other. But that speaks to Lydia's character more so, that this is someone who was fairly a stranger to her, but she comes from her block, and thus she will do her best. Even though she says they're going to try to kill you, she's like, what do you expect? That's what's going to happen. She is being a good friend, but also not taking pity on her about her circumstance and why she's in her circumstance. Like, look, I asked a friend to try to relocate you as a favor, but honestly, this is more than you even deserve. You need to stay your ass here. She brought out some crackers. Like, what kind of meal is that? She talks about how Lydia ran track, how all the guys liked her because she was hot, but they were scared that she would break them in half.
I got that whoa, na na na.
Sadly, we find out Lydia knows that in high school that Danelle was high. Dorian was like, so was I. He said, I was hot too. I got some sexy stories I'm going to regale you with, and they will not be boring at all. She then gets another call that Danelle has been busted at a crack house shakedown and informed everyone that she is a CI like a goddamn idiot. This woman was asking to be murdered, unfortunately, which is why Lydia is appalled that not only she used that information to get herself out of jail, as she told her previously. She says, look, you already got a target on your back, and now you gonna tell everybody that you are an informant for the police, as if that wouldn't increase the amount of people that want to take your life. She ain't never seen an ocean except on the television, and how they brought that full circle was even more gruesome, because Lydia says what we were all thinking. She always did want to see an ocean. Now she is. Her body dumped in a suitcase or a box near the ocean. And that is enough to make one definitely take off their shoes and appreciate life, the life that other people are not going to get to have. But we are skipping ahead just a bit, because in this moment she gives her money, tells her to get on the bus back to Lancaster because she can't stay around here no more. And if by the grace of God her friend helps her out and relocates her, she'll be lucky, and it ain't gonna be by no fucking beach. As harsh as she feels she was, and that the woman deserved, because she tries to say, oh come on, it's hard from where I came from, and Lydia's like, bitch, I came from the same fucking block as you. Don't tell me what I already know. And I made it, and I did something with my life. So to say that you cannot, that hits home for me in a lot of ways, because I feel that is what a lot of people do, particularly in black neighborhoods. It's all like, oh, well, I had this tragic circumstance. It's like, do you know how, I mean, there are people who even come from less than what you had. I'm not saying that one should excuse one's own trauma, but you cannot use that trauma as a crutch, because there are some people who come from that same spot, or if not worse, and still find the strength. You gotta find it. It's not easy. It's hard. And you gotta dig deep to find it. And it's not gonna be a happy time, not stressful, not sacrificial in any manner. And that's where people can't reconcile. So she, in the car talking to Dorian, says, well, maybe I was too harsh with her. He's like, well, you scared me. He's like, I wanted to scare her, but, you know, in the end, you have to make the decision. You have to make the choice to help yourself. No matter how many people are giving you a helping hand, nobody can change things besides you. It can't be anyone else's decision. So yeah, she gets the call. Well, we don't even see her getting the call. She goes to a crime scene, and then we see that Danelle unfortunately did not make it out of this episode. Let's get to John Cooper and Officer Tang. We see John Cooper at the gym. It was so nice to see him back in form. We know he's got back surgery, and he's ready to get back into the saddle after several months away. He's been on light duty for the past 4 weeks, something he said he would never do. But he feels like he's put all those preconceptions aside about what his life could be like after he addressed the fact that he was in a great deal of pain and had become addicted to painkillers due to that. Need to avoid what that would mean for his career if he were to address it. And it turns out that it wasn't the end of his career. He's got pins in his back now. They have gotten him back to a healthy form, and he can get back on the street. And he is paired with Officer Tang, who is being rather disturbingly hazed the way in which Cheeky was. Of course, Dewey is there playing his sexist part.
Oh, hi, thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
Calling her Pootie Tang and Hollywood. Of course, John, being fully aware of exactly what kind of piece of shit Dewey is, he rather lets it roll off of his back. And he just dismisses him, but he tells him there's a YouTube video you should check out. She says she likes to be on time. He seems rather impressed with her as they ride in the vehicle, as she talks about having a backup weapon. He says he used to before he had surgery on his spine because it used to pinch his nerve there. She says she'd be more comfortable with him having a backup, and he says, I'll think about it. He is taking his position as rather the one that needs to be assessed for being credible back onto the street fairly well. He's not pushing against that. He's not uncomfortable with the fact that he's riding with a woman because she says, what are you going to call me? After they get the business out of the way. And he says, how about Jessica? Because that's your name. R-E-S-P-C-T, find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-C-T, take out T-C-T. It's fairly clear she did in fact do her research into John as he did into her. Very briefly, there's a mutual respect, and we find out that she actually requested him, despite the fact that he thinks this is a lame job to be saddled with, making sure and assessing if he is in fact capable of being and doing his job. He says he has not had a chance to look at the video when he references, or she references it, but they are quickly pulled into the first traffic stop of the day, which is someone who almost hit someone else. She gets to the front because she says, I'm point. He has no issue with that. She tells this very belligerent black driver to get out of the vehicle. He's like, This is harassment. Don't you hate that? Like, no, bitch. You just broke the law, and you know that you did. He doesn't want to give his license and registration. And he's like, you're going to have to drag me out of this vehicle. We've all been in the hood. We know there are those that are victims of the police and those that like to make themselves the victim of police by escalating the situation because they know they are in the wrong. You know, there's both sides of it. And I appreciate them showing both sides of it. That's why I like this show. They're not preaching at you. They're not telling you to pick a side. They're just giving you the facts as they're colored. And John comes up to the car after allowing her, to do her thing. He sees that the guy is not addressing or respecting her. So he's like, look, numbnuts. He's not trying to step on her toes. That's the important part. He's like, you can go home with a ticket or you can go to jail with my foot up your ass. Which one will it be? An Escalade rolls up. They pull out their weapons thinking this may be some type of gang situation or whatever. I don't know what the fuck. Why you rolling up on the sidewalk like this? It's his mama.
Oh, Lord.
I like the comedy of it, despite the fact that that is not how you handle the situation at all, ma'am. You would only make the situation worse. By driving up on the sidewalk. But they find this rather funny because she's like, bitch, I saw you almost hit that person. You was texting and driving, and I almost hit her and myself trying to turn around and get you to, because he knew what was up. He knew he was about to get his ass beat. Like, whatever these police officers are about to do, it's gonna be worse when he gets home, because she says, I'm taking that car. He's like, he was rude and disrespectful, wouldn't get out of the car. Okay, you gonna do this after everything I've done for you, after everything I haven't done because of you? Ooh, that was some harsh words. And he started laughing. He's like, no wonder you want your ass in jail. He's like, just stand over there, ma'am. We'll take it from here. Their next stop is a car that is going around in donut loops in a empty parking lot, except nobody is in the vehicle. Everyone is watching this because why not? You know you got to be bored as fuck. Ain't got no job. Ain't got shit to do. I'm surprised it wasn't Friday.
All right, so y'all just seen that corny ass shit.
Yeah, I'll be here all night, folks. I'll be here all night. She really wanted to get to this Mexican taco stand as well. And I found that to be a funny storyline, because even as they're going through these terrible situations, she's all like, oh, I'm going to miss these tacos. They can call, but he's like, that's too much damn paperwork. And he decides to do it himself. And he's so happy. He's so happy to be able to physically get back into what it means to be an officer. And so he smashes the window, jumps in the car, takes control of the car, and the whole entire crowd clap because they think it's pretty fucking awesome. And it's a nice way to be seen by the police when it feels as if they're there for the community, no matter what that community is. And they could have just decided to do that, but he decided to put on a bit of a show. And they end up going to the taco restaurant, except this 30 minutes wait for the tacos. They could skip the line, but she doesn't want to. She says it sends a bad message to the community. And you see that they're mentally aligned about the moral code, what it means to be an officer. And all the other cops, I'm sure they have done that, because Dewey's sitting there with his crew. He makes a lot of jokes as he does. When he walked away and he said that racist shit, I wanted to just take a nightstick and punch him in the throat.
Shut up, bitch! Oh my God!
I like, though, that as they were in line, there's a call, and you can see all the other officers don't give a shit about a possible suicide. Even the possible DUI later on. They don't want to do their job, but They know deep down morally they have to do it. And he's like, show us responding. She's like, fuck. So they go, and it's the guy, he's threatening to hang himself with pantyhose. They're trying to talk him out of it. He's rather delusional. His therapist is on the way, but unfortunately they're stuck in traffic. So they have to tell him what he wants to hear. So they tell him Sandra forgave him, because forgive's not a word. And he says, well, she's a fucking liar anyway, and hangs himself.
Bruh.
They have to go get the truck to go up there, because this man is seriously about to die, Mr. Millsap. They're like, hold on, Mr. Millsap, hold on. She's like, we are not going to make that truck. And then as they're driving, they see a possible DUI. Maybe this was after that or before that, I'm not sure. But they pull the guy over, and it's clear that he is fucked up. He's like, no. She's like, do you happen to have any tampons on you? Tampons? Why would you ask that? I don't know. You happen to have a fat ass blunt in your ear there? And he's like, yeah, I just keep these tampons around. Really? Really?
I am so high, I can hear heaven.
Back at the station, why does one need to look at a YouTube video on a DVD? I do not know. But that's how John, he's like, I don't know this YouTube, is able to finally view what everyone has been referencing, and it's actually pretty horrific. It turns out that Officer Tang was confronted and beat the living shit out of a massively huge dude when she tried to arrest him. People, of course, find this fucking hilarious for some reason. That is, I don't know why sometimes women want to be police officers, if this is what you have to go in and deal with. But alas, some people want to still put their stamp on it and prove. I'm like, fuck them. Now that we have women that are physically fit as men, that's what I want to see. I want to see that shit on YouTube for one of those officers. See how you like that in your life. Anyhow, you don't see John laughing or thinking this is a joke. He finds it extremely disturbing. And it doesn't change his viewpoint when she comes in and she sees, and she's rather surprised that he wasn't lying when he said, you really didn't see it, did you? He's like, that was a really big person, Jessica, still using her name. Pretty much, hey, that's fucked up what happened, and you shouldn't beat yourself up about it. But she does. She feels that she got too close. He says, tomorrow I'm driving. She says, nope. He says, you have nothing to prove to me. She says, it's not about you. And he asks, how am I? Because I also know that I have a past. She mentioned briefly about rehab. She doesn't bring up the fact that people have been talking about him having a drug problem. You know that shit was Dewey. Probably a little bit of cheeky too. But she's not going to rub his past in his face or past mistakes, and he's not going to do the same. And they both are, he feels that he needs to prove something too. Being fit enough to be back out there to be worth that badge. And that is something she gets to choose, despite the fact that she chose him. And I think seeing how things go down for her, I can totally understand why she chose Cooper. She also made a comment about, you're not going to be one to, it's not going to be a problem with you having a female. She's tired of being hit on. And he's not like that, of course. She doesn't bring up his sexuality. Because she then says, oh, you were squared or something like that. She's like, oh, well, you going to grope my thigh? And he's like, maybe. But I really like their pairing, because it feels as if that would be someone, as a female officer, you would want to have John Cooper as your partner, because he ain't about that life. He has a respect for females, and he would be like, that's the guy that you want to have you backing you the fuck up, because he ain't dealing with that. So great pairing there. Let's talk about our other new, surprisingly good pairing, which is Ben and Sammy, that come from different places. Well, come from different places, but don't. Because I feel like Sammy came from that, and then he's kind of moved closer to the hood side of things, but that seems to be more a circumstance. We see him driving his son, Nate. They named that baby Nate. To drop off with Tammy. She's an anti-vaxxer.
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
He said, I will take the Attorney General's opinion over a yoga teacher. Thank you very much. As he's driving, he is approached by this car that's erratically looking at him. And he's like, you don't remember me? He's like, no, don't remember you. He takes his gun out, ready, and he's like, yeah, I used to work in, he's a cop undercover working in Narcos. And he's like, dude, I almost shot you in the face. What the fuck? I agree. Like, that's not, you know, my baby's in the back. Why would you think that's funny? But that's the rough side of being a police officer. There seems to be this other side of it that they're more interested in exploring, which is the more complicated, the part about the community that hates police officers, right? Because we've been putting them on a rather, especially with the John Cooper dynamic, pedestal, other than their personal lives, as far as we want moralistically what our officers to be. I think in this episode, we are starting to see what it means for the community to see these police officers, and it's not that same level of trust, and you see why in this episode. One of the first, as they go out, I like their banter back and forth about, you know, because Ben is out having coffee, espressos, looking at hot women go by, sleeping with bohemian chicks. They get into the car. It's a dirty car, and that's the first time we meet Danny Ferguson, who pawns it off on them. Says, if you don't like the trash, get rid of it. I got here earlier. They immediately don't like each other. He sees him as a young uppity. Danny is cynical and has lost all decency of what it means to be an officer of the law. Doesn't mean that you're not brave. That nobody's not saying that. And I think that's something they distinctively put in the Danny character. Like, he was willing to put himself in the line of fire to protect his brethren, but everything about this man in this episode says that he is not a good police officer. So being on the front lines doesn't mean that you are a good, upstanding person and deserve to wear the uniform, which is where Ben has a huge chip on his shoulder about, because it's not just about coming out and pissing vinegar and thinking you're a know-it-all. It's, we do have these protocols for a reason, and I do want to be seen as someone to be respected in the community and not feared or despised. And even the way he's learned to handle situations when he's in a tough situation, which other officers may react in a different manner, that's all taught by John Cooper and the 3 years of being his boot. And you get to see that when you do come from that type of stock, that type of officer, that you are, in comparison to others that have been doing it a longer time. And even Sammy, who is cynical, can see, you know, that pureness of Ben. It's kind of even rubbing off on him, like, you know, he ain't wrong. Their first shootout was pretty, I mean, there was a lot of lot of bullets. It was a lot of messiness and action in this episode. And the first pops off in an alleyway as two gang members just decide to shoot at each other point blank, and you would not believe how accurate this shit actually is. I looked it up. I looked into it because I hate when I get into true crime, because then it freaks me out. Like, I don't want to know these things, but it is the truth. People do stupid shit like this, like to be 2 feet away from each other, no cover, shooting, and one of them, of course, gets bodied while the other one gets shot in the neck, but he keeps going. They chase him. He goes into a school, which isn't great, putting children at risk. 4 officers go in, including Dewey and R2, Ben, and Sammy. They end up following the blood trail. Some people that were just like stuck. And that's also realistic, that people just, they freeze. They don't know what to fucking do. Because I've unfortunately watched a lot of shooting scenario situations and how people react. And it's amazing how many they stay there. Especially little children, babies. They don't know what to do. So I was hoping that this guy wouldn't do something like that. And of course he wouldn't, because he's bleeding so much that they find him in the toilet. His gun is far away. He's finally, the loss of blood, it's over. And they stand over this man who's dying, and they basically are like, oh, okay, so this is what you get. This is what you deserve. Any last words? Fuck you. Oh, okay, that's nice. Dewey's like, this is exactly where that piece of shit deserves to die, and walks away. And you can see that this very abrasive disregard for life, no matter who that person is, bothers Ben. Bothers him even more so when securing the crime scene, Danny stands there chewing tobacco, which is one of the most disgusting traits one can have. Sorry, not sorry. Maybe just, I think because they spit it all the time, I just can't get, it's, ugh. And there's 2 little kids playing with the corpse of the dead guy, and he has no problem with that, saying, and I quote, animals will be animals.
I am disgusted.
When you paintbrush a community, you automatically are in the wrong, because you what is the word I'm looking for? Disassociate these people as people, which justifies your reactions to debasing them, to treating them the way in which they did several people in this episode. Ben's like, hey, it's a crime scene. What the fuck? He's like, look, if you want to do it, he does stand up for his partner. He's like, look, I know he's young, but just give him a break. He will learn, but he's got to learn all on his own. We don't have to push it and shove it down his throat. And just maybe, things will be different. Ben is talking about reporting him. Sammy says, look, he's been around a long time. He knows that the detectives are not going to waste time with that. So just, he's a good officer. And he tells him a story about how he wanted to shoot someone in the face, and he helped him out. And Ben's like, I don't know if that's an inspiring story at all. Then they get into the other. Was there another shootout that happened? Oh, the situation where was that? And I am not sure. I had to go back 3 times, but I almost felt like that was Anna Diop that we saw. And let me go. I meant to go to her. I am going to go to her IMDb. IMDb.
I am so high, I can hear heaven.
I do not know words. IMDb page. And I was right. That was her. That was her. I knew it. I knew that was Anna Diop. Girl, I could recognize that forehead anywhere. If you do not know who that is that I'm referencing, that is Sunfire or Starfire from Titans. So she was 14 apparently in this episode. We saw her, well, first they go see John because they hear about what he's done. He's like, oh yeah, I haven't seen him in a while. He knows that he wants to see his old partner. And they go and see them. Ben is a little mum. He's very happy to see Sammy. He's like, oh, you just had a kid. He's like, good to hear about that. He's like, hey, Boot. He's like, I'm a P2 now. He's like, oh, okay. He says, watch out for this one. He can still step on his meat. He still calls him a kid.
Why don't you love me, Daddy?
He is very much always seeking his approval. And you can see that Sammy's like, he can notice that there's a tension there. And he just drives off and he's like, I almost teared up at that reunion. And then he just goes, yeah. You want to talk about that? He's like, he looks good. He looks clean. I heard things. And he could have easily told him, but he's like, yeah, no, he would never. That's between them and always will be between them. That's when they see the guy beating up the girl and he makes a run for it. Ben goes chasing through. He runs into the backyard of why do you got that many motherfuckers in your backyard? I ain't never, ever, 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 ever seen that many motherfuckers in somebody's backyard unless it is a birthday party and I ain't seen no balloons. I saw no party decorations. I know you just saw some black dude run through here. And that's what they're doing. They're protecting their own from the police. And in this case, Cooper's like, because he tells them to go around, he decides to, not Cooper, I'm sorry. Ben decides to level with them. That dude just raped a 14-year-old girl. Is that the type of person you like in this neighborhood? I would like to arrest him and do my job. That's what he did. That's what I'm on pursuit for. And he's like, you're going to let me through? And they're like, let him through. Let him through. Because they have things that they care about too. Right? I like how he handled that situation. Because any other white person, white cop, if that was fucking Dewey there, he would have panicked, waved his gun around, escalated the situation, and someone would have been killed. So he runs through. The guy is still running, and he gets ran over by a truck.
Chameleon. You come and go. You come and go.
We know that this is a rape suspect. And I understand on some primitive level why Danny's like, fuck that bitch. Because look at what kind of monster he is. Why should we attempt to do anything for him? A, he's probably already dead. And B, he got what he got coming to him. And I can't disagree with those facts, but it's not about that, which is what Ben is about. And what I appreciated Sammy backing him on. Because everyone in the neighborhood's looking, it's not about what this guy did. It's about how we appear to the community. If we appear as if we're the same monster as this guy, then how does that help? Especially as the community's gathering around. They're all saying, help this guy, at least attempt to help him, because he is a human being, no matter what the fuck he did. Right? And thus, he gets the kit, because Danny is not trying to hear it. He's like, is this guy fucking for real? He's like, look, if it gets us not having a complaint, you know, why not? What are we doing? We're just standing here. What? I did laugh when the paramedics was like, you wrapped him so fucking tight. It might as well be a mummy. And he's like, I gotta cuff him to the gurney. He's dead. But they took a long time, and they know they took a long time because of the neighborhood that they were in. The girl had broken ribs. He fucked her up, though. He was beating the living shit out of her. And the mom left and he's the boyfriend. That's exactly how that shit goes down too. Women, that the men that they let into their homes around their children. That is another prevalent thing that needs to be taken into account. Because you're just leaving your poor children to these predators, thinking that you can trust them, and you cannot. As they get back to the station, Danny's like, so there's no complaints. It's a good thing you did what you did. You know, suck up, but one day you gonna learn. And Ben is just about had it. Sammy's like, I'm just trying to take a shower here. Got that towel on like you really hiding something big.
Why you bully me? You fucking bitch, why you bully me?
But he basically is like, look, your career is about to end at Rite Aid, and we all know where this is going. That shit had me laughing. But then he got thrown up against that mirror, and then Sammy broke it up. It's like, okay, I need y'all to like back up off each other. Y'all really is on one. And I see both sides of the equation, but I gotta back, and I will always back my partner. I do like that about Sammy. I will say that he is fucking loyal, very loyal. As he walks out, or as they both walk out and talk about going to get some drinks at the bar, he's like, no, there's nothing but cops there. He doesn't want to hang out with cops because he's not fully immersed in the brethren in which he is associated with on this different side of town too, because he's on the south side. So south side come with a lot more black and brown people. And even in the community, because we see that Danny is not and I thought that was smart to not have a white officer be the figurehead, because we already got Dewey. We need to make it a cultural thing, because I do think that there is something about it being a cultural thing and not completely a racial identity, a social identity that the cops have is also, I think, a huge part of it. You see Ben mentioning earlier about even saying it's not just one cop they see, it's the uniform. So there could be good cops and bad cops, but they'll never distinguish between us. Versus, and you see that play out in the end of this episode, because the person that comes into the police station all of a sudden shooting was someone that saw Officer John Cooper, gave him a look as he was giving a woman a hard time at a restaurant. And he didn't see Officer John Cooper, he saw cops. He saw the man that stared him down and made him feel insecure. And so he takes a shotgun and goes into the police station and starts firing.
I come to make an announcement.
I love the way this was filmed and shot, seeing the outside reaction as officers are moving in. It's so very quick, and they're shooting back at the guy. Luckily, he distracted him so another guy could shoot him in the back. That's what Ferguson did, but unfortunately, he got shot himself. He is gonna live. A few others probably not gonna live. Dewey, the senior officer, is letting them know IED's gonna show up. They're like, fuck. They're both like, dudes are like, you all right? I love that they check on their partners, because that felt real. Like, their reaction afterward felt very real. As he's puking up because he's just now, that's not something they were expecting. It's just like, bam, it's happening. And it is another reminder of what it means to be the danger of an officer as well. I love the layers of the show. And he's like, I pissed my pants. And he's like, holy shit, me too. And they're in the moment. They're in the moment with each other, and they're still getting over the shock of it. And the fact that they can even admit, holy shit, I pissed my pants. That was terrifying. And yeah, that's the end of our episode. That's just Wednesday. So Wednesday being one of the most, as they call it, hump day. Getting over half the hump of the week. The most low-key day. For an officer of the law, it could be one of the most harrowing days that one can have. We do have feedback for this episode. Let's hop into the mailbag.
Hey Christina, it's me, Shy. I am here to give my feedback for the season premiere of season 4 of Southland. And this one had quite a few changes going on. Some of them I'm happy to report. First thing first, we have John. We see John getting back into it, doing his exercises, pull-ups and all that good stuff. And happily not having issues with his back. I know I've the last couple of feedbacks I've been expressing my displeasure at this storyline continuing and him being stubborn and not getting the help that he needs. And look, he got the surgery. He had to be on desk duty on light duty as he was recovering, but he's back on the streets. So I'm like, dude, your quality of life was just so horrible. And it's just like, and for what? It's scary, but what was the alternative? So I'm just glad that he finally got that. Hopefully the painkiller addiction is also behind him, and he has a new partner, and of course it was Officer Tang, and we got to see their dynamic. Lucy Liu, I know her from a few things, but she's in this show. Didn't know that. So we got to see them team up. We got to see her story at the end, which I'm like, I can't believe they were like making fun of her for that. And I'm like, that is so messed up. She is so small compared to that guy. And hindsight's 2020, and keeping your distance and all that stuff. But it's just in the heat of the moment. Sometimes it's all it takes is that one small error and judgment, and then the next thing you know, you're in that position that she's in. But there's nowhere near her fault for the way they were treating her, like she's a pariah because that happened to her. But my thing is, I thought they had the partner up. Why didn't she have a partner? So that was weird. She was out there by herself at night. I just thought they always seemed to be partnered up, so it was strange to see her by herself. And then we got Ben and Sammy. We get to see their this team up, this partnership, which is interesting. Sammy was actually tolerable. I can handle Sammy when he's not being too obnoxious or not dealing with Tammy too much. We got a little bit of Tammy, but luckily it was just on the phone. We got to see cutie patootie Nate. They named the baby after Nate, so that was nice. So we got to see him as a dad, and it seemed like he's a lot more grounded. At least so far. It's only one episode that we've seen. Ben still being a horn dog. But he's single. It's California, LA. So, hey, it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do. He's not tied down to anybody. Then we got Lydia, who is once again with another partner. Understandably so in this situation, because Ochoa was not about that life. Hooking up with her son. And obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, it appears as if her and the guy didn't even work out. I'm not sure. It's only the first episode. It's not like they delved into everybody's personal life. But it just looked, from what it seems, they're not together anymore. Of course, we got Lydia dealing with her CI, which had the audacity to not only come back into town, but show up at her doorstep looking all cracked out. I'm like, are you serious? That is not a good idea. If you are an informant and you've been given a new lease on life to go somewhere else to start over, why would you come back, girl? And of course, we see the results of her bright decision making. But again, when you're on drugs, you're not exactly making the best decisions in the world. So she comes back, get caught up with people she shouldn't be getting caught up with, and the people that obviously are going to be angry with her for, snitching on them. They hooked her up, turned the favor. So there's that. And then there's Ben and Sammy dealing with this obnoxious cop, what's his name? Fernando, Lou Gossett Fernandez, Lou Diamond Phillip. Of course, I've seen him in quite a few things. He's surprised that he was in this one. So he was being the obnoxious cop and not really caring about protocol. Him and Ben clashed, and because Ben's by the book, he tries to be by the book on this one. So they're chasing down some dude that was like, people are just bold. They're like, they don't even care that the cops are around. Like, the one cat is just beating the crap out of the girl, not even aware, out in the public, just out in the broad daylight. And the same as the two dudes, the two gangsters, I guess, that were just shooting at each other, even with the cops. I'm like, y'all just out wide open shooting at each other. Like, that's not, nobody's gonna hide, nobody's gonna get cover and shoot. It's like, this is crazy. So of course they kill each other in that situation. One on the street and the other one bled out. So that was crazy. The whole thing was crazy. I see that there is no Chickie. The Chickie, I know that at the end of the last season she was talking about going to Metro. So is she not on the show anymore? So Dewey has another partner to torture. But he wasn't too bad in this one. He was a more mellowed out version of himself. So there's that. Of course, we didn't get too many scenes with him, but still. I almost feel like this Lydia partner thing is like a running joke. Like, it seems like, because every season she shows up with a new partner. So we'll see how this one gets ruined. He's a married man, so hopefully it won't be nothing crazy like that. Lydia doesn't seem like she would go that route. Because I think she did that before. He was married. So it's like she wouldn't. And of course, she was younger at the time. So, but we'll see. I forget the dude's name, but he was a trainee. So wasn't too much to his story other than him married and talking about the glory days. So got the shootout at the end with some dude just coming in there shooting up the precinct. I'm like, wow, this is definitely back in the day, because there's no way that can happen the way it happened nowadays. It's just so much barriers to getting into these police stations that you definitely not gonna get away with that kind of thing. So, but that's all I have. I mean, it was a good premiere. I enjoyed it. So on that note, until next time, much love, peace, and Black Girl Magic. Queen of the Couch, Shy.
Thank you, Queen Shy, for your thoughts on the episode. Unfortunately, I don't have much to add other than I think I was much more fair to Sammy. I think I was really annoyed with Sammy last season, and thus I was harsh on him. And this first episode, though, I think that he definitely proved that he can stand alone, even though I still give him shit. Lydia is prone to shitty relationships. This is factual. One would not think, but we also know that Lydia makes really trying personal life decisions, and that is one of the flaws of the character. What did I mean by in some places of the world? No. Oh, as far as being able to walk in a police station like that, depends. Really depends on where you are in the country. I believe in LA, yeah, probably not. and this was some years ago, but it depends on what district you are in LA. If it was Southside, maybe a little bit more barriers. But if it was, say, the nicer side of town, no, they're not going to. Well, actually, I think that's the opposite. Because, you know, more money, more things we can buy for our police station. So I agree. But I also feel as if we still could do better when it comes to security. Not just even in police stations, in schools. And other places where it's ridiculously easy to like, even the way in which he got into that school. It's way, you would think after all of the shootings, it'd be some type of billions of dollars seem to go into defense budget would be rerouted, but no, we just like learning the same lesson over and over again. That is going to conclude our Southland podcast for this week, as I try to struggle to find words. If you want to send feedback, once again, blackgirlcouch@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment below on this podcast. My social media will be there as well. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace, hair grease, and black girl magic.